Well, Gundogan could leave Barcelona this Sunday. It's a shocking story being reported by Forbes via the TalkSport. Welcome to Rokani Media Football. Good morning, and hope you guys are really having a fantastic morning. And we thank God for the gift of life and the Muslim viewers and subscribers. We thank Allah for obviously granting you what we call a very huge gift of life. Smash the like button close to 400 times. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. We are talking James Ward-Prowse. Looks like West Ham is also trying to obviously go back to Southampton and sign James Ward-Prowse to see it that they really make him a very huge player at the West Ham side. And they're still trying to obviously go ahead and obviously put in a lot of effort to replace Declan Rice. And lastly, Kane. Looks like Bayern Munich are yet to make what we call one more raid to see to it that they convince the team of Bayern Munich to obviously get them the player. So Rokani David is my name. You can as well call me RD, and obviously let's Rafi to rumble. And now, Ilkay Gundogan was one of those players that Mikel Arteta was interested in as a free agent from Man City. He snapped Arsenal and found himself going to Barcelona. But it looks like he might find himself coming back at Arsenal, as a team that he chose over Arsenal's gone ahead maybe to betray him. And we'll see by the end of this week whether he would have gone ahead to make a U-turn to return to the Premier League and play for Arsenal, because stories have been reported by Forbes and TalkSport that Ilkay Gundogan could leave Barcelona this weekend after a shock clause in his contract was revealed. A clause in Ilkay Gundogan's contract allows him to walk out of the club on Sunday as a free agent if they don't register him before the Getafe clash. This is a story that is really credible. Two credible sources, Forbes and TalkSport, have gone ahead to uproot this clause into a contract that Ilkay Gundogan signed with Barcelona. Now, going to Barcelona, every player knows that they're really having what we call financial constrictions, and registering players is really going to be hard for Barcelona. As it stands, they have 13 unregistered players, and it looks like they need to make a very huge movement of players to see it that they really move on players and then register the ones that they're gonna have to bring in. One of they're gonna have to bring in through is Ilkay Gundogan. There is Romeo, there is Zit Martinez. They've brought in like 3-4 players, and we're waiting to see where they can register them, and none of those has been registered, including Ilkay Gundogan. Ilkay Gundogan knows exactly what Barcelona is all about, and is gonna hate to obviously tell them that if at all you exceed Sunday without registering me, then I'm not going to be part of the plans of Barcelona, and I'll be looking for another team to play for, because he's really a hot asset. And I would like to let you know that the Getafe game is going to be played on Sunday, and he wants to play that first game that opens up the La Liga. Not so? Getafe versus Barcelona is the La Liga kickstarting off this weekend, and he wants to be part of that game. He doesn't want any excuses, and this is what is going to hate obviously bring us to a story and to put up a title to this video, that Ilkay Gundogan shocking transfer to Arsenal, because he's at Barcelona, and if at all Barcelona don't register him before Sunday, he might tell them, you've shown me that I'm not needed here, then why keep my ass here? Let me find myself a club. And one of those clubs that might be interested in obviously signing him might be Arsenal, because Arteta was all over Ilkay Gundogan. The likes of Fabrizio Romano, David Austin confirmed us that Arsenal had even submitted what we call a contract offer to Ilkay Gundogan, but he chose Barcelona over Arsenal. But after Barcelona failing him, I think he might find himself playing for Arsenal, because Arsenal will obviously welcome him because he's a free agent, and Arsenal would like to have a player like him into that midfield, bring in experience and competition that Arteta really likes into his team. Now, how does Ilkay Gundogan's contract situation at Barcelona help out Arsenal? You know, right now, Arteta's gonna hate to show us that he can play Kai Havertz as a false number 9, as you saw him in the game of the Community Shield versus Man City, where they won by 4 penalties to 1. That means he is looking at him as a half number 9 for the start of the season until Gabriel Jesus comes back. And I don't think that even if Gabriel Jesus comes back, he's going to obviously start games immediately. That is it. So that means you are having what we call a very big void into your midfield, because you are now using Kai Havertz as a center forward, known as a central midfielder, meaning that Ilkay Gundogan will be hugely welcomed at Arsenal to play in the midfield 3 of Odegaard, Declan Rice, and Ilkay Gundogan. All Thomas Partey, Ilkay Gundogan, and Odegaard, depending on who comes in to start in whichever position that Arsenal will provide. And you'll obviously want his experience. What he did at City is really impeccable, and you would obviously want a player like him to come in and obviously play for Barcelona. And the reason as to why Barcelona might not even register this player, it's because his injury proneness has gone ahead to follow him up at the side of Barcelona. And it said Gundogan's short term at Barcelona has not been the smoothest after having picked up an injury on the club's pre-season tour of the US. After making a second half appearance in the defeat to Arsenal, Gundogan limped out of the 3-0 win over rivals Real Madrid in Texas. So this man has gone ahead to get an injury, and that's why it might be hard even maybe for Mikel Arteta to welcome him back. But I really understand if at least come to Arsenal, Arteta might put in what we call performance clauses to obviously meet his salary that he demands of close to £150,000 a week. That is Ilkay Gundogan for you, and he might be making a shock transfer to Arsenal this weekend, provided Barcelona don't register him. This is not the first time Barcelona have found themselves in a situation of having a lot of pressure to register players. Last season, when they signed Franck Kessié on a free from AC Milan, they also had threats of Franck Kessié leaving Barcelona if at all they don't register him in time to play those games. But they tried to register him and they kept him at the club of Barcelona. And Barcelona is wanting to move on to players, that is Ousmane Dembele, who is already traveling to France to undergo his medical, and I think we're going to get some money in and create space for him to be registered, especially Ilkay Gundogan. And even Franck Kessié is on the verge of leaving the team of Barcelona to play for another side. Now, leaving that deal of the situation of Ilkay Gundogan there, we go to the situation of Harry Kane. Now, yesterday but one, Bayern made a bid of £86 million, leveling to €100 million. And and Spurs rejected the bid. Why did they reject the bid? They want £100 million or 120 million euros. Now, today, Political has gone ahead to put out a very clear source that Bayern Munich will make one final offer for Harry Kane, which is believed to be in the region of 110 million euros with add-ons. Now, I think when we look at the striking market, Spurs have gone ahead to use it to see to it that they really get the best out of the deal. Bayern cannot pull out of the deal of Harry Kane. That is it, because there is no striker of a caliber of Harry Kane that they can get. That is it. That striker is not there on the scene. They cannot get. The only person they can obviously get and obviously fit the boots of Harry Kane is Kylian Mbappe. But Kylian Mbappe is sold on an idea to play for Real Madrid, and I think Bayern is not in position to pay the amount of money. Sorry about that. Bayern is not in position to pay the amount of money that PSG really want? Close to 150 million euros for Kylian Mbappe, or 200 million euros there. Now, Harry Kane is pushing for the move. He wants to leave Spurs, and he doesn't want to be part of the Spurs squad that is going to play against their opening game of the weekend in the Premier League, and he wants to be gone by the start of the league of the Premier League. And it looks like Spurs are really optimistic for this deal to happen, and I think they're going to get the amount of money they want from Harry Kane, that is 100 million pounds. Because yesterday night, as Barcelona played in their trophy, was it called what's the name of that trophy? Let me check here. They beat Spurs by 4-2. It's called the John Gamper Trophy. He was not even part of the squad of Spurs. That is it. So meaning that there is some huge movement in as far as this deal is concerned, and we might see Harry Kane play in the Bundesliga next season. So let's wait and see how that happens. But all in all, I'd like to inform you that Harry Kane to Bayern Munich is one of those deals that you guys should put a very huge eye on, because it looks like it's going to happen as soon as possible. If at all, they making 110 million euros plus add-ons, meaning that Spurs are really wanting like 90 million pounds guaranteed fees and plus 10 million pounds of add-ons, meaning that that's what Bayern should put on table to see to it that they get in this deal of Harry Kane done and dusted. If they don't do that, then they won't really get in a player that they really desire to have as their talisman of this season. So, lastly, let's talk about James Ward-Prowse. It's David Austin dropping the hint that West Ham working to conclude deal to sign James Ward-Prowse from Southampton as soon as possible. Saints keen for 28-year-old to face Norwich on Saturday, but now an increasing likelihood it will be his final game for the boyhood club in there for you. Now, James Ward-Prowse, a first bid of 30 million pounds was submitted and found himself in a position of obviously not being accepted by Southampton, that was really relegated. Looks like Southampton is going to make huge money from sales. Livramento from Southampton to Newcastle, 40 million pounds. They are selling Lavia 50 million pounds, and James Ward-Prowse might go also for 40, meaning that for the sale of only 3 players, they might gather close to 130 million pounds. That won't be bad for Southampton as they prepare for their championship season. Obviously, it kick-started off last weekend, and more games are going ahead to be played this midweek. Now, when you look at James Ward-Prowse, West Ham are interested in him for a reason that even Paqueta is really leaving, having reached having agreed a deal in principle for Edson Alaves from Ajax, who can play as a CDM. They now want to get in James Ward-Prowse and obviously another midfielder who is expected to be Scott McTominay, as they are trying to really get in the replacements of Declan Rice and Lucas Paqueta. Lucas Paqueta is going to Man City. A bid of 70 million pounds is expected to be put in by Man City to sign Lucas Paqueta from West Ham. West Ham would have gone ahead to make a lot of money from the sale of Paqueta, as they signed him for 45 million pounds, meaning that they're going ahead to make a profit of 25 million pounds. And if at all, they gate Scott McTominay at 40 million pounds. Alves, they got him at around 30 million pounds. That is 70. Add on maybe the 40 for Scott McTominay. That is 110 million pounds, meaning that they would have gone ahead to sell 2 midfielders, Declan Rice and Lucas Paqueta, for 180 million pounds. And they would have gone ahead to spend 110 million pounds to replace them in their midfield with at least extra forces that can obviously sort into the Premier League. Look at James Ward-Prowse. He can score free kicks, He's a dead ball specialist, and he can really bring in set pieces like corners and so on and so forth. So guys, your thoughts on Ilkay Gundogan shock transfer to Arsenal are welcome in the comment section below. Do you think, if at all, he leaves Barcelona this weekend, his destination would be Arsenal? And what do you make about Harry Kane, the bid being prepared by the side of Bayern Munich? That would have been the last and final. Then James Ward-Prowse, do you think West Ham will really get him in to it that he gets his magic at the London Stadium? Rokani David remains my name. I sign out for now. See you later. Good morning, and I cover you all in the precious blood of Jesus Christ. May the living true God bless you abundantly. My Muslim viewers and subscribers, Barak Laufiku. Ciao, ciao.